Hi guys, I'm Greg.
And I'm Mark.
And welcome to the Deco Stop. So, today's episode is sponsored by Teespring. We've got 15% offer running until February the 15th. We'll have more about that later on the show. We've got Sam, who's our new presenter on the Daily Scuba News, so I hope you've watched that.
Yeah, he did a story on, what was it again? He was doing the XDeep, the new regulator. We're going to be talking about that, but yeah, new presenter Sam, who some of you might have sort of spoken to already online by calling into Simplyscuba. He did well.
Did?
Yeah.
We're better than you, Mark.
Whoa, there's the truth and then there's that.
All right. So the podcast is now on Radio Public, so go download the app and listen to us there. Mm-hmm. And today's topic is going to really be about task loading.
Yes.
So before we do that, we'll get into the news.
Yeah. Okay. So obviously the usual intro. This is Deco Stop from Simply Scuba. For those of you who don't know, Simply Scuba, we are the UK's largest. Let's be arrogant about this. The world's best online dive centre. We sell all sorts of stuff, and sort of Greg and myself, we've been scuba diving for years and years, so we pretty much know what we're talking about when it comes to scuba diving. And if you need any dive equipment or any advice on dive equipment, just head over to simplyscuba.com. But yes, onto the news. So the first one is XDeep Regulators that Sam spoke about on Monday's Daily Scuba News. So yeah, XDeep, They kind of announced these a couple of years ago. They kind of showed off a prototype at one of the dive shows, and then they went quiet. Mm-hmm. They're very fastidious.
Yeah, tried them out.
Yeah, actually made sure that they could be like tested and everything. And then they're starting to creep back into their social media. They're showing off their regulators a little bit. Yeah. And they look quite cool.
They do. We were talking about this before, just before we started, because they've got those turret hats. So as stuff gets better and starts to get, and improve as manufacturers start to make things, they can then adjust those turrets and they can make new ones to fit that stage, which is really cool, isn't it?
Yeah,
and they do look really nice.
Yes, I mean the very original first stage, which I got a good look at, you've got a 90-degree swivel turret. So unlike a Scuba Pro or like pretty much any other swivel turret that's around, that's at the kind of 180 degrees. This is at 90 degrees, and then you can rotate that. I think it had 3 low pressure ports coming off of it, depending on whether you're diving on singles, on twins, on stage side mount. So very, very customizable. Yeah. And I think the original had 4 high pressure ports. For whatever reason, you need 4, but I imagine we're going to start seeing these in 2020. It's just whether they can get service centres out there fast enough. Yeah. Because they almost need to do that before, because there's no point buying a regulator if you can't get it serviced in a year's time. Yeah, because
When I was looking on YouTube was it was a twin set. Just the way the hoses sort of come down, it made so much more sense.
And nice and neat. You're not going to be bumping your hoses on anything.
Like that. Brilliant. Yes. Really, really good.
Yes.
Right, so on to the next one. So the Atomic Subframe winning Tester's Choice.
Yeah, so the Atomic Subframe mask won the Tester's Choice for the twin lens dive mask. So congratulations to Atomic Aquatics. Scuba Lab, they test all sorts of scuba diving equipment, and they just get a whole range of stuff from all the different manufacturers, and they just put them up against one another and just go, right, well, we like this about this, and we don't really like this, but we like this. And the Atomic Aquatics, as well as, I can't remember what the other mask was. Oh no, the other mask was a single lens, wasn't it? Yeah, so this won the twin lens design for masks. So,
pretty nice.
And it's Atomic. I've got an Atomic mask and I love it. They're good brands.
Sad news now.
Yes, a sperm whale has died in the Thames. This seems to be happening more and more. At least it's being reported more and more, where whales are just kind of getting lost in the River Thames.
They seem to love Gravesend.
And then they just end up dying because there's no real food. It's not really the best environment for them. But a sperm whale, I never thought that you'd get one anywhere near us in the UK, but I'd rather it be better circumstances.
Yeah, I think they found it just between the channel, just between Sheppey and Grain.
Yeah.
Shame, huh?
Sad. These things happen.
They say, Right, so some better news. So a wreck hunter has claimed a 150-year-old wreck.
Yeah.
So this is 80-year-old Ben Kropp and his son Adam Kropp. They found the Udine, which is an 800-ton ship.
Yeah.
And it's his.
Yeah.
He's claimed it.
Yeah, it's like his friend basically saw an anchor, which is pretty much more coral than anything nowadays, and then he's like, okay, this is it. They found like chain and whatnot, but he's found like hundreds of shipwrecks over the past like 50 years or something.
Good knack.
And this was off the Great Barrier Reef. I think it's like south of Cairns. But it's like, oh, found it.
Yeah. What have I got? Sudbury Reef.
Yeah.
Yeah, just out of Cairns. But yeah, how cool. Very cool. Right, so some more good news. Canada is banning whales, etc., in aquariums. Which is good.
Yeah, so they're banning any new cetaceans in like aquariums, theme parks, and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. So the ones that are already in captivity, they will just kind of live out their life. But they can't replace them or they can't breed.
Yeah, it's marine land or something like that in Canada, isn't it?
Yeah. And I think this is kind of after Blackfish. This is kind of the way that most are going to be heading.
Yeah, SeaWorld have had some issues as well, haven't they?
Yeah, I think their stock shares have just been plummeting ever since.
It's a very, very powerful film, that Blackfish.
Yes.
Yeah,
if you have
one, Blood Cove as well.
Yeah.
Dolphins.
Yeah, is that Taji?
The Cove, I think it was.
Yeah. There's quite a few of those. And if you if you want an interesting documentary, not a nice documentary, Blackfish and all of that. There's quite a few about scuba diving as well that I enjoy. I can't remember the name of it, but it's about I think they're Norwegian or something, and their friends basically die in a cave system, and then it's all about how they went to retrieve the bodies, even though the police basically said, no, you're not allowed to. That is fascinating. I love that documentary. It's tragic, but it's definitely worth a watch. We went somewhere rather dark there after that news story, which was quite nice. Let's head on to this week's topic. Yeah, so task loading. So task loading is today's topic, and it's quite important because it kind of affects all of us. And we thought it'd be interesting just to chat to. It's quite interesting kind of topic, and how it kind of changes as you progress. So when I used to teach students, I used to teach them the bubble. And this was my kind of sort of analogy, in that when you very first learn to dive, your kind of bubble of awareness is pretty small. It surrounds yourself, and that's about it. Because when you first learn to dive, you've got all of this new stuff kind of going on that you're not 100% sure on. So brand new divers, where their bubbles are pretty small, they're not even looking at their dive computers, because if they've got a small amount of water in their mask, that's kind of all that they can focus on. And sort of new divers, this is why your instructor will basically say, no, you can't bring your dive camera with you on your open water. So the dives, because as soon as you focus on your dive camera, your buoyancy goes off. Because you don't have that kind of skill level. So then as you progress, your bubble gets a little bit bigger. It starts to encompass your dive computer and the rest of your equipment and your buoyancy. And then once you've kind of mastered that, it gets bigger, and then it involves your buddy as well. So you're focusing on them. At that kind of level, you're kind of touching on sort of rescue diver, because you're starting to think about your buddy and other people in the water, kind of going, oh, they're swimming slightly odd, or you can start to pick up on these tiny little kind of signals, and that's kind of task loading. The fact that you're okay in yourself, that you can sort out your buoyancy, that you can start to pay attention to other things. And it's important to not to rush through that, because so many people, I mean, you must have seen it, where you're coming up to sort of 80 bar or something, you're starting to end the dive, coming up to the safety stop, someone goes to send up an SMB, and like the ratchet locks, or there's line all over the place wrapping around people when they do a Mary Poppins, where the SMB shoots off to the surface and it kind of drags them with them. And it's because they their kind of task loading hasn't quite progressed to the level where they can kind of switch off from their buoyancy because they're fine with that. They can focus on this one task at hand because they're at that kind of certain grade.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it's the same in PADI. You have circles that get bigger. Obviously, the first circle is just on your open water. You learn about yourself, how to dive safely. The advanced course, you start to learn a little bit more about how to do a little bit deeper and a little bit, more computer work and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then the rescue dive, you're starting to look at other people, dive master and so on. Then you're starting to care for groups and stuff. So yeah, it's just about sort of mastering those sort of sub skills and then getting that to the point where you can do all of that. Then you can move to the next bit and worry about something else.
Yeah, there's always something else, and as soon as you add a new piece of equipment or you change something, then you kind of have to reassess yourself.
Sure.
So yeah, if I've got a whole brand new set of equipment, I'm not going to jump in and do a 40-meter dive in a wreck and kind of push the limits, because actually no, I might need to step back a bit. So yeah, it's all about taking it easy, kind of assessing that yes, you can do this. I can dive with a bit of water in my mask. I can dive with I don't know, if I'm like a little bit cold or something. So it's all about just making sure that you can handle that before kind of progressing on too far and getting yourself into trouble. Yeah, because too many people, there are so many kind of news stories where someone's hurt themselves or they've gone missing or they've tragically died because they've pushed that boundary. There's that, I can't remember the name of the bell curve, but there's a sudden jump in like number of like instances when you kind of get a certain amount of confidence. You kind of, when you first start out, you're really nervous because you don't know anything,
and you're safer as a result of it. Yeah. It's the same with driving, isn't it? You know, the first couple of months you're like that, and then after a while you know what you're doing, and that's where you have all your accidents.
You definitely get a little bit arrogant, you feel a little bit bulletproof, but then hopefully you can get over that kind of hump and then kind of go, oh, actually no, that was a little bit dicey.
If you were looking at stage 7 but you hadn't done stage 2.
I mean, the main things tend to be like shipwrecks and cave systems, any overhead environments, because it's just something else
to think about.
That if you're swimming in and you don't have your kind of fin kicks or your buoyancy down quite right, then you're just covering up your path back to safety with silt because you're stirring it all up or you're bouncing off the roof. So it's just a matter of take your time. There's no rush to sort of progress. You don't have to go 0 to hero and just kind of get yourself into trouble. The same with almost like professional tier grades, because you used to see them all the time where they've got the diving bug, they really want to sort of become the highest tier diver that they can be, and they're like, right, I want to be an instructor. You've only done 24 dives. Yeah, but I want to be an instructor. It's like, you really want to slow down, because sure, you can jump through the hoops and you can be an instructor at 100 dives, but you're not going to be most people aren't going to be amazing divers or dive instructors at 100 dives, because they haven't experienced when things go wrong. And that's really what makes a good instructor. If you've seen something go wrong, you've dealt with it, you can remain calm under pressure because you're just you've seen it before.
It gives you that instills confidence in it, doesn't it?
And also you can prevent incidences, because the last time you saw this thing happen, you saw a small fizz of bubbles coming out of someone's first stage. You know that in 5 minutes time that O-ring might slip, and so you can kind of see things coming. So task loading, it changes as you like progress, as you get more experienced, and it's all about building your foundations, starting with kind of yourself and your equipment, and then building upon that to the point where my buoyancy is pretty good now. So now I can start to think about getting a dive camera, because as soon as I line up to take a photo, I'm not holding my breath because I want to hold my camera still and floating up and can't realise why I'm floating away from it.
Yeah.
And then once you've got your buoyancy and then your camera down, then you can start to progress to think about other things. So it's
baby steps.
That's it. Don't rush into things because it can be dangerous.
Can be.
And even if you look at the sort of the official statistics of diving incidents and fatalities, there's a spike at entry level and there's a spike at professional level. So it affects everyone.
Sure.
It's not a thing where you suddenly reach advanced and you're like, oh, I'm advanced.
Yeah,
diver.
they give you a cape and off you go.
Yeah, I can do whatever I want. It's even after you've spent hundreds of hours under the water, you can still feel a little bit arrogant and just go one step too far, and that's it. So it's task loading is more about safety and kind of realizing in yourself that okay, maybe that is one step too far.
Yeah.
I mean, I've done it where I hurt my shoulder before a dive, and I just said, oh no, sorry, I'm not going to do this dive. And someone else was like, oh no, I really want you on this dive to help with everyone. And I was just like, no.
Yeah.
It's no, because me being there is possibly going to make things worse, because if my shoulder suddenly packs in, then I'm not a help, I'm actually a hindrance.
Yeah.
Because someone's going to have to help me with my twin set, and it's just it's not worth it.
Worst thing I've ever done.
Yeah.
I had a tooth taken out and then had to go for a dive. Or cold compressed air.
There's nothing worse than like having a filling and then going on a dive, because you don't know if your dentist has done a decent job. That's another task that most people haven't really considered. Diving with congestion. It's just like, I really need to get these students down and get this dive done. I'll do it. I'm sure I'll be able to equalise. Like,
I need to get paid. I need to.
You do some silly things sometimes, and it's just not worth it.
No.
So that's kind of task loading. If you've got any questions or comments about task loading, then of course head over to our YouTube channel, pop them down in the comments below. Any questions we'll answer in next week's show. Any corrections as well, if we've said anything wrong, then pop it down in the questions or sort of comments section, and we'll get to those and we will address those accordingly. Now we're going to go on to our ads. So this week we're sponsored by Teesprings, who, if you didn't know, they make sort of custom T-shirts and hoodies and you name it, and they print it off. Like, basically all you do is you go through the website and you say, I want this design on this colour T-shirt in this size. This is where I live. Here's some money. Thanks very much.
Cool.
They print it. They mail it to you. Bing, bang, bosh, done. Happy days. We do a whole bunch of scuba diving stuff. So yes, at the start of the show, Greg mentioned that today's Deco Stop was sponsored by our very own Teespring store, because the page had so many hits from last week's sponsors. We are now running a discount code. So head over to our Teespring store at teespring.com/stores/simplyscuba, or if you're watching this on our YouTube, then just click on the link pinned in the comments below. Have a look at our t-shirts, our hoodies, stickers, and socks as well. We do socks, we do mugs, you name it. I don't know if are the mugs in the Teespring store?
Yeah, there are.
They are.
Cool.
Yeah.
There's some of them. Yeah.
I couldn't remember. Once you've added sort of all your sort of exciting stuff for your, I don't know, it's Valentine's coming up, you might as well. Once you put all the stuff in your basket, then head to the checkout and type in promo code DECO15, so that's DECO15, and you will get 15% off your total order. So this discount code is live until February the 15th, and that's DECO15, DECO15. Okay, so if you do have any of our own Simply Scuba branded merchandise, then take a picture of yourself, upload it on Instagram, and use the hashtag Deco Stop, and we'll throw some fanfare in your direction, because we kind of want to see you guys and girls wearing it. We kind of see that some people are buying it, but we don't see you wearing it.
It's a hobby.
Yeah. Keeps us off the streets. So yeah, now we're going to move on to the questions. Now, obviously, the shop has just opened, so you might hear some noise in the background. We apologise for that. They're going to try and keep it down, but they're quite noisy.
Yeah, in general.
Yeah, they push lots of buttons and they make noises. So now we're heading on to the questions, which I don't actually have with me. I've got another sheet of paper somewhere.
Oh, perfect.
Oh, there it is. Okay, what's the worst that could happen? You drop your script.
Yeah, it's all right. It'll be fine.
Okay, so the first question is from Patrick Clausen on what to look for when buying a wetsuit. How much buoyancy does a 3mm shorty wetsuit give you? Is it really noticeable when snorkeling?
Yeah,
a little bit.
A little bit.
Not much. I mean, if I'm going from like a rash vest and board shorts to a 3mm shorty, I'll probably add 1, maybe 2 kilos of lead to compensate. Not a great deal. So you will notice yourself a little bit more buoyant. So if you're not the most confident in the water, it does act as a little bit of a sort of flotation aid as such. It's not going to save your life or anything, but yeah, you will notice a little difference, but not a great deal. I mean, I used to, when you're doing your open water course, you've got to do your watermanship skills. You've got to do all those swims, and then you've got to do a 10-minute survival float, which is either like tread water or just float. I used to get all my students in the water in like rash vests and board shorts and stuff, and they'd be complaining. And it's like, oh, it's really hard. And I jump in my 3mm shorty.
It's
like,
easy.
Look, it's so easy, and it would give them confidence.
Yes.
And yeah, it's basically all about relaxing. But yeah, it gives you a slight edge, but you won't notice too much benefit, to be brutally honest.
Okay. All right, so the next question is from Dan Vault. This is the video about the Aqualung i300 dive computer review you did the other day. Any idea how to remove the battery once you remove the retaining ring? Mine is gold, not black like in the video. I can't get it to budge, and I'm afraid to start prying it.
Yeah, so when he mentions it's gold, not black, so I think when you get into the when you go to change the battery, this is all explained in the user manual that you can download online. To change the battery on that style of dive computer, you need a little key which basically has 2 little prongs, and then you turn that anti-clockwise, and that undoes a sort of black plastic retainer ring. So that's what locks it in position. I think what he's talking about is the next section, which is the actual like airtight seal to the battery compartments. Which, yeah, you do need to pry it out a little bit. Try and avoid using like metal tools, or at least twisting, because you could sort of damage the plastic. I just tend to use my fingernails. If that doesn't do it, I just use like a really small flathead screwdriver and just really gently, after it goes, it will just pop open. Just a small amount of force. You don't want to twist it, because that could actually damage the plastic. But yeah, just be gentle, and that should pop off. So yeah, don't worry about prying it a little bit. It will come off. It's just that seal is creating an effective seal. So
very small amount of loving force.
That's it. That's it. Just be gentle. Be gentle. SV Methos asks on the video, XDeep are making a regulator, ? Hey, since you're not part of the EU, can I start buying from you guys now? I'm in Canada, go Canada, and you had a rule saying non-EU can't buy.
Best of luck.
Yeah, we haven't actually, Brexit has happened, but we haven't actually left the European Union as such. We're in a transitional period.
Yeah, there's an 11-month transitional period until the 31st of December.
That's it. So after that, we don't really know. This transitional period, a lot of decisions and a lot of changes are going to be made. So at the moment, we don't really know. We can't promise. I imagine it won't change a great deal. Because... So for those of you that don't know, a lot of scuba diving brands have regional zones. Like you'll have the USA, you'll have EMEA, sort of Europe and Middle East, Asia, and then Africa, sorry. I was trying to work out what A stood for in EMEA. And then you have sort of Pacific Asia. So they'll all have their regional offices, and they'll all have like a price list in a given currency.
Yeah.
So because scuba diving equipment is made either in America or Europe or Asia, they have different. It costs the manufacturer different amounts based on where it's going to be sold.
Yeah.
So then it might be cheaper to buy it in America because it's made in America, or it might be cheaper to buy it in Asia. So basically, to stop people from having a monopoly, because well, I buy it the cheapest here.
Yeah.
They kind of have their regional zones so that you can't sell out of it, or it's not that you can't really sell out of it; it's that you don't get into price wars.
Yeah, you can control the price a lot better, can't you?
Yeah, because otherwise it just becomes a free-for-all.
Yeah.
One person would just have a monopoly because they can buy it cheap and sell it cheap. So if they split it up into the different economic zones, it just sort of maintains good business properties, really. Because if you sell scuba diving equipment as cheap as you can, you're going to go out of business just as fast as you sell the equipment. Because we need to make a margin to
that's it.
to pay staff and everything.
I mean, I've got a feeling that we're going to stay in the same region because it's unlikely we're going to be paired with Africa. So I would imagine things it will probably just say the UK and the EU as a region. I would imagine, but that's just a guess at the moment.
Yeah, because most of our sort of supplying brands, they come from Germany or Italy.
Yeah.
There are a couple in the UK, but even sort of Scuba Pro has a main office in the US, but we still buy Scuba Pro equipment from Germany. So, at the moment, we don't know.
Up in the air.
We'll find out this time next year.
Soon. Right, so this one's from Blackpool. This is the video Fourth Element Technical Shorts review. How were these compared to the Apex? So the Apex were the shorts he had on last week. We've only got a pair of extra large in the Fourth Element to try on, which we didn't think we'd use this week. But go on. So what do you reckon? You've tried them both.
So I've tried them both, and they're both the same concept. They're both neoprene shorts. They're both about sort of 3mm neoprene. They've both got pockets on the thighs, so you have that kind of storage options. Personally, I prefer the Fourth Elements. I just find them a bit more streamlined. There are less flappy snag hazards, as I call them. So the Apex, for example, has like belt loops. They both have like pinch clip belt to sort of hold it in position, but where the Fourth Element one is kind of sunken underneath pretty much 3/4 of the waistband, the Apex one sort of resurfaces as such, so it's got belt loops to keep it in position. Something else just to snag on. The pockets themselves, they have a kind of collapsible option where they've added an extra section of Velcro so that you can collapse the pocket down and then Velcro it down, so it's not quite as bellowy, but it's just something else. It's
something else to snag.
A bit more over-engineered, but they're both fine. They're both going to do the job. Personally, I prefer the Fourth Element. They're more streamlined. I just prefer the aesthetics of them, and on the inside, they've obviously learned from other manufacturers, because quite a few people make these kind of technical shorts, and they've put, it's not open cell, but it's like raw neoprene or textured neoprene on the inside, so they actually grip onto your waist. So when you're getting out and when you've got sort of big clunky stuff in your pockets, it's not pulling your shorts down. Which is an issue. But I personally I prefer the Fourth Element, but either way, they do the same thing. Jonah Cowell on Hollis F2 Fins review video asks, how do you think they compare to the RK3 lighter one? I presume he means the standard version of the RK3.
Not the HD. Very, very, very similar, aren't they?
Not much in it. They're both fairly, I think they're about the same weight. There's not a great deal in it.
1.88, 2 kilos, something like that. Obviously, there's very little.
Yeah, there's not much in it. As far as thrust, so I've used sort of both of them personally. probably the F2 has a slight edge on like thrust in the water compared to the standard version of the RK3s. The HDs are a little bit stiffer, so they probably hit up about the same kind of range, but length and size, they're both pretty much the same. They both have spring heel straps.
Very similar in their shape and design.
Yeah.
Obviously, you've got the two panels missing on the Hollis, haven't you?
Yeah, so they're vented, but they're a different concept of venting. It's kind of like a dual layer vent, which is clever. Whereas the RK3 is just a standard like jet fin style vent. But yeah, they're much the same. They're going to do the same thing. The RK3 comes in more colours.
Cool.
It's going to be pretty much all it comes down to.
Pretty much.
Scott C. Brown, also on the Hollis F2 fin review. I've liked the rubber bungee type heel on my Mares fins. What's the difference in the spring steel spring variety? You appear to like those more, Mark, and I'm curious as to why. Yeah, so spring heels came out ages and ages ago, and they've made our lives so much easier because you don't have the pesky ratchet straps trying to reach over and twin set, trying to do up your fins, and then probably, I don't know, 4, 5, probably even more now thinking about it, years ago, I think it was Mares brought out the first bungee heel strap, which is like a rubbery elastic rubber band that basically goes on, and the main sort of difference is in that you can't really accidentally cut through a steel spring. If you've got a sort of elastic bungee, yes, you can sort of cut through it accidentally, not easily, but it can be done, and it will sort of weather over time. If you leave it out in the sun, then in a while that sun is going to kind of damage it and wear it out, and you can replace them. You can sort of shorten and lengthen bungee straps, but realistically, steel straps, they are solid.
They last.
Yeah, they last. Yeah. And personally, I prefer steel just because it's in my eyes, it's just that much stronger. It's less of a failure point. So yeah, that's about it really. There's not much else.
All right, so let's have a look. Nolan Oliver. This is about the Sunto Eon Core review that he did a little while ago. Anyone have an opinion on Sunto versus Aqualung i770?
So they're very similar dive computers. So they're both like large screen, color screen dive computers. They both have rechargeable batteries. They both do air and nitrox, both air integrated. I kind of prefer the strap on the Aqualung. It's more of a sort of NATO style sort of Zulu strap, which I just find it's a bit nicer than that standard elastomer rubbery strap. Similar algorithms. Synto's on the RGBM fused. Aqualung is on like a Z Plus, I believe. Some people think that the Synto is a bit more conservative, but that's debatable. I think the only real like deciding factor that I could really sort of find is that the Aqualung has Bluetooth. I don't believe the Sunto Eon Core
connection.
I don't think it has Bluetooth, so you have to get a USB, and that will connect to a desktop computer instead of an actual app. So that's
very similar. What they do, similar kind of look to them. Similar price.
The user interface is different, but they're both pretty easy to
If you had to choose one,
I'd probably go down the Aqualung route.
I like the Aqualung.
But
he's nice.
Yeah, he's nice.
He's nice. Okay.
Either way, you're going to win.
So our last question for today, this is from Jeff St. Thomas, and this is the video about the BCD guide. So I'm looking for a good XXL BCD. Can you help me with any suggestions?
Yeah, we had a similar question last week, and I'm kind of going to repeat myself. So it's wing style BCDs I find are easier to fit people into because jacket styles don't tend to have quite as much adjustment in the straps. So with a wing style, in jacket styles, you tend to get 5 sizes, extra small to extra large.
Yeah.
But in a wing style, you'll often get 3 sizes.
Yeah, because you can play around with those 3 sizes so much, can't you?
They get a greater sort of range of sort of adjustment in those straps. So that's definitely an option. And again, down the sort of backplate and harness systems, where you can literally make it your custom fit BCD, because you get like 2 or 3 meters of webbing, and you just cut it to the length you need.
You want it,
So yeah, if you're big and muscular in the shoulders, then you can have bigger shoulder straps. If you're a bit more rotund, then yeah, you can sort of make that waistband that little bit sort of larger, so it's more comfortable.
Just make it work for you,
Yeah, so yeah, I'd recommend going down that sort of wing style, whether it's a recreational wing or a sort of backplate and harness wing. I'd go down that kind of direction.
Yeah, because when you XXL, the jacket style BCD,
Yeah.
it's probably not going to be that comfortable.
No, that's true.
Yeah.
It's when they're fully inflated, it's inflating around your waist as well,
and sort of,
which is uncomfortable. On my very first training dive, open water dive ever, I was buddied up with a guy, and he was a larger gentleman, and yeah, when his BCD was fully inflated, he actually found it hard to breathe. He actually almost winded himself because he was swimming on the surface over to this boy, and yeah, he couldn't get enough air in. The instructor basically deflated the BCD, and he was fine because he could catch his breath. But yeah, in a wing style BCD, even when it's fully inflated,
wouldn't have those issues.
It's all behind you, so you don't notice it. So yeah,
the way forward.
yes, wing styles. I found a lot more schools are actually going to teach in backplates and harnesses and wing style BCDs just from the get-go, because that's how most scuba divers are diving nowadays.
Especially in this country.
Yes. Yes. So yeah, wing style BCDs. That's what we recommend. I need to steal your outro because I've dropped mine.
No problem.
I'm not doing well today.
You're doing all right. You're doing all right.
Okay, so yeah, any questions and comments, head over to the YouTube channel and sort of pop them down in the comments of this video, or sort of any of our videos. We'll find them, and then we'll sort of answer them, or at least address any comments in next week's show. Thank you to Teesprings, of course, for sponsoring today's episode. Don't forget to head over to the Teespring store, teespring.com/stores/simplyscuba, all one word. And then after you've added everything that you want to your basket, then you can get 15% off until February 15th by using the promo code DECO15, DECO15. The next episode of the deep dive is the split fin dead. So Alannah and Hollie are going to be talking about split fins. Let us know what you think about split fins in the comments below. Yeah, don't forget to follow the podcast on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts from. Don't forget to download Radio Public as well. So that's a new place that you can sort of listen to our podcast, and that will definitely help us. You can also rate us on iTunes as well. That definitely helps with the podcast. It basically raises awareness, so iTunes just thinks that we're that little bit more important, basically. And yeah, if anyone follows us on the Google podcast, let us know in the comments below, because the metrics basically aren't saying, and we basically want to know how many of you actually listen to us on the Google podcast. Yeah, again, pop any questions, comments, queries, corrections down in the sort of comments in any of our YouTube videos, and we'll address them in next week's show. Don't forget that actually next week's show, this is going to be the last time that you see Greg and myself. Next week you're only going to be hearing us, because we're changing the format basically so that you can hear us better and there's less interference in the background. So yeah, this might be the last time you see our pretty faces on the Deco Stop podcast, but that might be a good thing. Yeah, don't forget to share the podcast with all of your diving friends to help spread the word. Thank you for watching, thank you for listening, and of course, safe diving.
Cheers, guys.
Fins, but still find myself struggling almost to entire dive, and typically ascend uncontrollably even with 1000 to 1300 psi left in my tank. Any advice? Yeah, so the only real difference is your dry suit. So you have this massive sort of air pocket